Welcome to part 4 of District 7360's Virtual Membership Summit. I'm Jim Eberly, District Membership Chair. The Membership Summit team thanks you for taking the time to join us again. I hope that you've been finding these summits to be entertaining, because we all want to be entertained, but more importantly, both informative and actionable. Over the past 3 weeks, you've received some great insight. You got the secret sauce. You got to see a live demonstration of how to conduct a Rotary membership event, Discover Rotary. And in sales, you know, it's always about closing the sale. And this is a way to do it. You've also been provided with a number of handouts. I'll remind you that Governor Irvin has strongly recommended that you fill out your membership growth plan and send me a copy. And a special shout out to Ringtown. Thank you, Charles. You were the first to get a sheet back to me, and I appreciate that. You've also received info on strategies and ways to broaden your list of potential members, and very importantly, a way to examine the club growth and retention rates and understand why they matter. Bottom line is we've looked at a great number of ways to grow Rotary, but, and there's always a but, you are likely to run into challenges getting your club to move forward. It's human nature. We all say we like change, but many of us fight tooth and nail to make sure change doesn't affect me. So today we look at club culture. Let's define it and see how we can change it. Leading today's presentation are our Rotary Coordinator for Zone 33, Patrick Eakes, and Assistant Rotary Coordinator, Terry Weaver. Patrick's been with us for each of the sessions. In fact, during one of them, he made the rather startling revelation that his wife is a Kiwanian, but they are still together. Patrick and Kristen have 2 teenagers, both of whom are involved in Rotary Service Projects. Trained as an engineer, Patrick operates a high-end custom metal manufacturing business in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and he was the governor of 7690. Terry Weaver has also been a part of each of these meetings. Terry's a PDG of 7750 and is a member of the Greenville, South Carolina Rotary Club. That club is one of the 100 largest Rotary clubs. Interestingly, Terry has belonged to 3 other very large clubs in St. Louis, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. Terry has an engineering degree and presently owns Delta Resource Group, a business coaching practice. Terry and his wife Pam have 2 adult children and 4 grandkids. So please welcome Patrick and Terry.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm starting today with an assumption that you've printed the Changing Club Culture worksheet and have it in front of you. You'll be building a club culture change plan from this worksheet. Now, not to worry, if you missed the email yesterday, you can grab a blank sheet of paper and you can follow along and then catch up later on the use of the worksheet. So I've been invited today to speak about what I believe may be our greatest challenge in Rotary, to change the culture of Rotary, which means changing the culture of Rotary clubs, 36,000 of them, one at a time, from business as usual to business of the future. And I'm asking your indulgence today to understand that we're talking about strategies to change the culture of an organization, using examples about membership in the case of Rotary. And I'm inviting you to expand your thinking to apply these to anything that you may be involved in that's an organization, including your business, your family, your church, your community, or of course your Rotary Club. So here's something I learned from traveling my district and from working in clubs in dozens of other districts now up and down the Atlantic seaboard. I've learned that there are 2 things that Rotarians really don't like. One of those is the way things are. I don't like the meals. I don't like the meeting location. I don't like the president. You've heard all that. But the thing that really rocks them to the core, the thing that Rotarians really hate, is when anything changes. So that's really our challenge. And it's our hope you come away from this summit, particularly this session today, with several good ideas you think could be valuable to your club. But wait, how am I going to take this back to my club? Think about the last time you popped a new idea out on the table in front of your board. And if you're like me, you basically got just shredded by the elder naysayers, all kinds of reasons why we can't do that, why that won't work, why we tried it once before, etc. So today we're going to spend some time learning a playbook of organizational change skills. We'll be using membership as an example, but this session isn't about membership. It's about using chronic membership decline as an example of a culture of half of the Rotary clubs in your district. Yes, literally half of the clubs in your district have an embedded culture of membership failure, of membership decline. And Darren Hardy was right. We've seen that clip before. If you're going to fix that problem, we're going to have to learn some different skills, and we're going to have to deploy some different strategies. So I'm hoping that this skill set will be part of your Why I Stay in Rotary list, because you can use these skills all over the place. I use these principles all the time in my life and my business. So here's the situation that most change agents find themselves in. Everyone's happy with the status quo, low expectations. Everyone's okay with a net decline of a few members a year. That magic number seems to be 2. It's just okay to leak a couple of members a year, and nobody sees a problem with that. I'm all by myself. Nobody gets it. And the fact is that people, humans, have a remarkable facility for rationalization, a remarkable facility for making excuses. So they'll be pushing back, giving you all the excuses, defending the status quo, and you have something meaningful to overcome, which is this embedded culture. So the first thing you have to do is decide whether you want to be a change agent. I'm hoping by the end of this evening, you'll decide that. And the second thing is, if you'll recognize that if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll get more of what we got. If you don't like the result you're getting now, it's time to do something other than the things that haven't worked. So our intention this evening is to walk through a change-making process using club culture with respect to membership growth and retention as an example. So here's the problem. Culture can't be changed directly. You can't just grab a hold of it. It is intangible. The first thing you have to do is change strategies to those likely to get the results you want. Now, we've given you a list of 10 intentional strategies that are guaranteed to work. I'd suggest you deploy those strategies as a part of your club membership plan. The second thing you need to do then is change behaviors to support the new strategies, to accomplish some short-term wins, to demonstrate that, in fact, these new strategies can and will work for your club. They've worked for hundreds of other clubs. They'll work for yours. Third, to reinforce those strategies and to cheer on the people that do what you're asking them to do. And if you reinforce those strategies, reinforce those behaviors, the culture will follow. So it's new strategies, different behaviors, and then celebrating that causes culture to change over time. Now, I didn't think this up. This is all extracted from a book by the name of Leading Change. It was written by John Kotter. Kotter is a Harvard Business School professor and perhaps one of the world's leading experts on organizational change. And these are observations he's made about why culture change in organizations, mostly businesses, fails and what to do about it. So here's Kotter's first principle. This is a recipe. Now, like any recipe, if you decide to leave something out, you may not get the result you expected. If you decide to substitute 2 or 3 different things, you may not get the result you expected. I'd encourage you to try this down from the top, line by line, follow the numbers, and apply this to any club culture change that you're trying to execute, particularly maybe as it relates to membership. So Kotter's principle number 1 is reset the bar, redefine what good is. Good is not the result we've been getting. Consistent, moderate membership growth is what good is. Consistent, moderate membership growth in my book is 5 to 10% a year. So that's a 40-member club growing at 2 to 4 members a year. It's an 80-member club growing at 4 to 8 members a year. And Kotter's point is, if you have to, if it's necessary to get the point across, create a crisis. And that starts with something like, if we keep on doing what we're doing, we're going to get a result that we're not going to like. And eventually that result is like lights out if you continue on a moderate membership decline strategy. And Kotter invites you to make this an urgent priority of the club, not just something that we thought about one time, but something that's right up there in everybody's face, right up there, dead center in everybody's attention. So create a crisis if necessary. Now, in more than half of your clubs, folks, you don't need to create a crisis with respect to membership. You've already got one. What you need to do is help the membership understand why that's a problem. And we'll be walking through some steps to do that. So if you'll turn to your worksheets, page 2, what does your new bar look like? Now, I'll point out that a bar has metrics. You know, a high jump bar has pin positions, has metrics for heights. So your new bar is some description of, in a measurable term, what good is. Does good look like net membership growth of 2 to 4 members a year? Does good look like something else? Does good look like something measurable? So we'll be talking about what does your new bar look like in terms of a hard metric that you'll be able to look back on 6 to 9 months and say, we're making progress on that because we can measure it. I'll give you a minute or so to work on that, and then Patrick Eakes will be walking through this with you.
Okay, I would love for one or more of you to unmute. You can do that in the upper right part of your little block there, or most of you can press your space bar and do that, and report out to us what you're taking back to your club, what the new good is going to be, how you've reset the bar. And remember, it needs to be something specific and measurable, something that the entire club can measure. Who'd like to share your new definition of good? We can do it like class. I'll start calling on people. I know you've got good ideas. Terry just laid it out for you. What's going to be the new good? What represents success for your club?
I'll go.
Go, Jim.
Last year we were able to change our bylaws to bring on a business membership. And that allows us to have an active member and an associate member. So we're beginning to put this into action. Very recently, we put together a recruitment flyer and a packet of information. We're calling it, surprisingly, Discover Rotary. So
it's a catchy
we're
title.
we're implementing some of these things now. And we have tasked our members to take these packets and approach folks now that we have a strategy and the basics in place to grow Rotary here in Lewistown in central Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you've created that. Tell me how you're going to measure success. What's going to be good? Where you're setting the bar for the club, because it needs. You've got a strategy there that's going to help.
Okay.
But what does good look like?
Well, our president has set the goal of 2 new members. So if we look at our attrition rate, we have a club of about 40. So good for us is 10 new members, essentially, because we'll have the attrition factored in there as well.
Because you're going to, I don't know your specific attrition, but it's probably losing 6 or 7, right?
Last year it was 3, but looking at that 14%,
Okay.
To gain 2, we need to at least attract 8 is
Great.
what we're looking at.
Great. So good is we're going to bring in, you said 10 members. Everybody can get their arms around that. It is right there. You don't have to have a PhD in math to figure it out. We need to bring in 10 members. That's great. Thank you. Anybody else? What is good? You're filling out this sheet as we go, so I know you wrote down some good ideas.
Well, I'll go.
Go ahead, Marianne.
So our focus this year, we decided, is youth programs, and that's one of the goals of our president, plus something that we're starting to focus on. And as I was looking at our membership goal worksheet that we printed out, I guess was that 2 weeks ago or whatever, our annual attrition is 5.
Okay.
that we lose 5 or
Yes,
understand that better?
that attrition is referring to 5. How large is your club? 30?
43.
Okay.
So, because I originally wrote down 2 to 4 new members, but it looks like we need 5 plus, right?
And thank you for saying that, and thank you for recognizing that, because the point of that exercise was a lot of clubs think if we bring in 3 or 4, we're going to be doing great. But we're saying educate people. You're going to lose 5, probably even 6.
Yeah.
So good means we're going to bring in how many?
So good would be, oh gosh, it'd have to be like 7 to 10, but that sounds scary. That's
Well, we're going to keep helping you with that. We're going to make that less
Yeah.
scary. And then the rest of this time, we're going to help you be able to make it less scary for your club. So thank you, Jim and Marion. Marion, my sister, has the same name and spells it just like you. So it's great to see. So thank you both for sharing that. So the next step in this culture change, before we know where we're going to go, we have to know where we are. And so that involves a really honest, sober assessment of where our club is. You have to know where you are to know where to know where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. So there are a variety of ways to do that. You see on the slide the Rotary Club Health Check. That is a particularly good prepackaged, no invention required, prepackaged tool that you can use that Rotary provides. Terry has put this in a tiny URL that makes it really easy for you to find. So tinyurl.com and then /Rotary Health Check. You can have a club assembly. We know we're supposed to have 4 of those each year. You can have a club assembly and spend it and do an exercise around this Rotary Club Health Check, and the club together will discover, okay, this is where we are. This is an assessment put up against a number of different metrics to figure out where we are. You can do informal check-ins with club leaders. Hey, how do you think it's going? Always good to have that kind of relationship and dialogue anyway. Certainly you can use surveys that your club may have developed, either exit or entrance or both. But it's absolutely imperative that you get this assessment done. So I'm going to give you a second, I'll give you more than a second. I'll give you a minute to write that down on your sheets. This is the second item on page 2, the assessment. So please write that down. It's part of creating this recipe, this plan that you're going to use. And we've already spotted you the Rotary Club Health Check, right? So that's easy to find. That can be part of your plan. Okay, I'll let you keep writing that down. The third step is to create a coalition. This is a really, really critical part of creating change in your club, creating the cultural change. So to create a coalition, you have to have people who see things the way you do. And that's going to mean dialogue. That's going to mean checking in with a number of people in your club who are leaders, be that by title or be that by their standing in the club. Because as you know, you have leaders in your club who may or may not have a title, people who are influential, and it's important that you develop a coalition with them. So I want you to think about who in your club you can make a part of your coalition for the change recipe that we're going to continue to build. Who are those people who you can go to and say, hey, we've got some work to do in this club and I need your help. Please write down who those coalition members are going to be. Again, this is an influential team, a team of leaders in your club who are going to support the vision that we're going to help you build out. So write those down. I am not going to put you on the spot and ask you to name those people on this call because it is being recorded and, we're not going to do that to you. We'll give you a break. All right, and I'm going to step out now and turn it back over to Terry for our next step.
Thank you, Patrick. The next piece of this is creating a vision. And in his book, Cotter says people regularly underestimate the value of a vision, and even more importantly, underestimate the vacuum that's created if there isn't one. People want to believe in something. People want to follow a vision. Now, we're in an election cycle here, and elections are by and large won on the basis of vision. Many times largely undeliverable, but that's what an election campaign is about. Vote for me, I will make it different for you. So that's what vision is all about. Let's talk about vision for a second. Here are some hallmarks of an effective vision. That it's a picture of the future. A vision is a word picture. It's desirable. It's something people can get behind. It's believable. It's feasible. People can look at that and say, yeah, I think we could do that. It guides your decision making. It's focused. An effective vision, visions are in some cases taglines. Walmart, for example, the low-priced leader. That's the vision of Walmart, and it guides all their decision making. If what they're talking about doing doesn't contribute to them being the low-price leader, they move on to something else. It's flexible, it allows some initiative, and you can successfully explain it in a very short period of time. When I talk with one of my business coaching clients about an incentive compensation plan, I say it's got to be simple enough to pass the one martini rule. You've got to be able to explain it from the employee to the spouse over no more than one martini. An effective vision is that way as well. So here's some ideas about what a vision might look like. These come out of the corporate world. Here's one. Our goal is to reduce our mean time to repair parameters so they're perceptually lower than all major competitors inside the United States and out. And in a similar vein, we have targeted new product development cycle times, order process times, and other customer relevant processes for change. Can you imagine that rolling off the tongues of 10,000 employees? Not going to happen. How about instead, we're going to become faster than anyone in our industry at satisfying customer needs. I worked for a Fortune 1000 publicly traded company. The entire vision was excellence in customer satisfaction, just like Walmart's little short tagline, excellence in customer satisfaction. These are the kinds of visions that stick. The year I was president of my club and the year I was governor of my district, the vision was the same. More Rotarians involved in more projects in more of the world. Here's the vision of all time in my view. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. That was delivered by John Kennedy to a joint session of Congress. Now, this vision captures a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar project, all in one line. Landing a man on the moon, returning him safely to Earth. Awesome. Of course, he could have said, our mission is to become the international leader in the space industry through maximum team-centered innovation and strategically targeted aerospace initiatives. I don't know that that would have galvanized a country to achieve a moon mission. So let's talk about a Rotary Club. Here's a version of a Rotary Club vision. Our Rotary Club will continue its legacy of community service, utilizing our influential membership to assist agencies in our community to achieve their missions. I sometimes wonder if this is the mission of a few Rotary clubs in my district. They knock themselves out, working their members half to death on fundraisers, and then they have one event a year where they write some checks, give them to other organizations to further their missions and their brands. Not exactly something that members can get all excited about. Members want to participate in something where they feel like they're making a difference. What about this? Our Rotary Club will be the growing, effective, vibrant force in our community, making it a better place to live. Your vision of your Rotary Club is, of course, your own. We'll get to that in a second. Here's Rotary's new vision, which I like a lot. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Lasting change in ourselves. That's a mission that people can get behind. So what does your vision look like? Now, the answers are in the back of the book. On page 4 of your handout, there are some vision statements for Rotary clubs that you can feel free to adopt, or pick and choose, cherry pick pieces and parts from any of them, or make your own up from a blank sheet of paper. So what I'd like you to do on page 4 of your worksheet is lay out your vision, which again, you're recognizing is not any more than 2 sentences, probably only 1. It doesn't talk about how you're going to do it. It doesn't talk about the problem you're trying to solve, where you're coming from. It's simply, this is what I see our Rotary Club becoming. It is a statement of the end game, landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. And a hint here is visions are easier to fabricate if you start with the words, I see. You'll notice the Rotary vision starts with essentially, we see. So what I'd like you to do in the next minute or so is sketch out your vision. Like I said, it's probably only 1 sentence, surely no more than 2, and has nothing to do with how you're going to do it. If you get prepositions in there like by and for and with, you're probably off track. You just want to state where you want to be. And what I'd like you to do as soon as you get it jotted down on the page, I'd like you to open the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and you can just address your chat to everyone and share your vision with us in text, and then we'll talk about a few of those. Just open the chat box. Probably starts with I see. Okay, we've got a couple coming in. I see our club being so dynamic in our community that potential members are standing in line to join. Actually, Ravi Ravindran in 2015-16, international president, suggested if you want to grow your Rotary Club, just find the biggest problem in your community, solve it, and then tell everybody about it. I see our club reaching the youth of our community to meet their needs and help them be successful in life. That's sort of a mentorship kind of vision and a huge value potentially to your community. See our club being a place where members feel a part of the family and never want to leave. I see our club essentially adopting Rotary's vision, which is not a bad idea. Growing in membership and growing more influential in our community. Excellent. Folks, those are some great examples. So craft your vision sort of along those lines, I see, and then an end that you think your members could get behind and get enthusiastic about. Now, we need to build a script. And here's an acronym for building a script. I didn't invent this either, got it from a book. And the acronym is SPIN. We're building a script to describe this vision of a future that's different from the past, but we have to explain the why behind all that. So we start with S. S is the situation. That's explaining the current facts. As one of the report outs on the first round said, the current facts are our club loses an average of 5 members a year. Then explain the problem. The problem with that is blank. This is also the what if. Then the implication. What this means. The problem and the implication aren't exactly the same. And keeping in mind that not everybody gets this the way you do. You really now know a whole lot about how membership works in a Rotary Club. The rest of your members don't know those things. Keep that in mind. And then that naturally leads into what do we need to do? So, and some of you have probably heard me say this before. I wouldn't ever suggest to any audience that you do something I wouldn't do myself. I use this all the time. When I'm going into any meaningful conversation about anything that matters, I take out a blank sheet of paper, I write SPIN down the left-hand margin, and I sketch out my talking points, and then conduct the conversation accordingly. Works every time. So here's an example of communicating the situation to your club. Our club has been on a steady downward membership trend, losing an average of 2 members per year for each of the past 5 years. The problem with that is the club's learned to accept membership decline as a natural occurrence, has forgotten that growth, not attrition, is the goal. The club has adopted a culture of failure. That is the problem. The implication is, if we stay on this track, we're going to find ourselves with steadily smaller meetings and potential members saying, is this really a group I want to be part of? They come to a meeting and they see 12, 14 people sitting around and they say, what the heck? I thought this was Rotary International. Where is everybody? Do I want to be a part of that? Once we lose the ability to attract members, folks, it's only a matter of time until we all age out together and the club goes out of business. Then the only decision we'll need to make is who's going to stay behind and turn the lights out. So what we need to do is we need to help the members understand that growing our club is essential to our survival. Create a crisis. This is about survival. This is about not being the last generation of Rotarians in our town. We need to help them understand that attracting more members is in everyone's best interest, including the new members. Rotary is a pretty good thing. We believe in it enough to be here on second shift, learning how to attract members and retain members to our club. This would be a good thing for everybody involved, both the existing members and the new members. And we need to provide a compelling vision of a growing, vibrant club and inspire them to make it that way. So those are some examples of what a spin script would look like for a Rotary Club. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like to take your next page, I believe that would be page 5 in your handout, or 3 in your handout, I'm sorry, and write down just the first section of this, just the situation. Explain the current facts. What is the situation in your club that needs to be changed to the vision that you are imagining? What is the situation in just factual terms? There's no real, there's not a lot of debate about current facts. We've been losing a net of 2 members a year. That's really not arguable. Okay. If someone would unmute yourself or use your space bar to unmute yourself, tell me your situation statement.
It's Joe White. We're a 13-member Rotary Club. We're losing 2 members a year. We're on our way out if we don't turn it around.
13-member Rotary Club losing 2 members a year. That's easy to understand. Who else got a situation that you need to fix?
I'll speak up. We've got declining membership, and club members need to understand that's not good.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll speak up. I'm Joe Stewart from the Waynesboro Club. I think the real issue right now is we need to get our club back meeting together and all together. That's a big problem right now.
Okay. So the situation is that our club members are not feeling like they're part of a group because we're not meeting.
It's developing a big problem. We have weekly Zoom meetings, but we have a 75-member club, and we average between around 25 people that sign in on a meeting weekly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not acceptable.
Okay.
I think we're going to be losing members just by lack of participation. And I think the issue of networking and socializing at a club meeting is very, very important to make it work.
Okay. Let's move on to the problem statement. Someone else give me your situation and your problem. Explain the situation, explain the problem.
case, the situation is that the president of the board and the board have rejected any idea to have meetings together, and that's created a conflict. So that's a problem. Until we get this.
So the root problem is that our members are losing the feeling of being part of Rotary.
Exactly. And
The implication then is what? That means
the Zoom meetings are just a very quick run through, not discussing what the problems are and not hearing membership concerns.
so need. Therefore, we need to do what?
Offer some type of option for people to get together.
Some sort of hybrid meeting approach?
Yes, I just like the schools. Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's circulated through your district, but there is a zone guide to how to do hybrid meetings technically. And of course, you have to address the social distancing issues and so forth. Yeah.
Where would I
safety.
find that? Where would I find that, Terry?
You find that on the zone website. Patrick Eakes will finger that into the chat.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that's an excellent example. You've got a culture of a board and a president that are apparently super cautious, super conservative. We've explained the situation. The situation is that people are not participating in our Zoom meetings in any meaningful numbers. The problem is that the club engagement is starting to unravel. People are not feeling that they're part of the club. The implication is that people will simply decide that, you know, I'm getting along fine without Rotary. I don't need it anymore. And besides the hybrid meetings, my suggestion would be that you start figuring out, as our club just finally has, how you could do some COVID compatible service projects. And there's actually a section on that on the video of session number 1 of this series, where we talk about COVID compatible service projects. We had a great time out cleaning up a city park a couple of Saturdays ago. We had some members out distributing shoes to kids at the poorest elementary school in Greenville County. This past Saturday, they loved it. And so we're learning to do things that we can do in this COVID environment. Excellent. So this is how you use the SPIN acronym: situation, explain the facts, explain why that's a problem, explain what's going to happen if we don't fix that problem, the implication, and then finally you get to your vision or your solution that you're trying to bring through the club as essentially a cultural change. And I think this example that was given just now is fairly perfect, because that is a cultural situation within that club board. The club board is on the same page with respect to, we can't take a chance on meeting together, and we're just going to stay with this virtual thing. And it's arguable that we got to figure out a way to ease our way back into business, where Rotarians get together, get to see each other, and get the benefit they've been used to out of Rotary. So what I'd like to do now is hand it back to Patrick Eakes with step number 6.
Thank you, Terry. We are going to go to step number 6. We've reset the bar. We've made an assessment of our club. We've built a coalition, created a vision, and then built the spin script. So now we take this to our members. We teach our members how to grow the club. I'm pretty sure they don't know how to grow the club, because if they did, your club would be growing, right? So this is an important part of changing the culture. You're going to teach them that how to grow the club with different strategies. We know that we have to do something different to get a different result, and different behaviors that will then drive those strategies. So what I want you to do now is still on page 3, write down how you're going to teach your members these different strategies, different behaviors, and to reinforce those behaviors. This is all geared toward improving the club experience, making your club irresistible, the types of things you were talking about in your vision statement. You might teach how your members are going to talk about Rotary, for instance.
Maybe an elevator speech.
That's right. You might teach them the spin script. So what's going to work for your club? How are you going to teach your members? All right, I see all these bright faces. I know they've written down bright things. So unmute yourself and tell us how you're going to teach us. What's your plan to teach your members? You know, I led with a compliment. I see all these bright faces.
I can speak up. This is Jess Sprouse. I'm from Altoona Sunrise, and my hope would be that we would increase our communication, for example, in our weekly newsletter, to put sort of like membership reminders in there, just something very brief that kind of would trigger someone to think, oh, maybe I could invite that, that person to an actual meeting, as well as just reminding them how you had said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that it is everyone's responsibility. It's just not the membership chair or co-chair or the membership committee. It's actually every member, every Rotarian's responsibility. And I think that that's a point that needs to be communicated as well.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, you're leading us into what will be the next step on communication, but that's right. Communicating, teaching that every member is responsible for the health of the club and the health of the club's membership. That will be a new concept for many of your members, but it's vital. Anybody else like to share how you're going to teach your members?
I really feel, this is Debbie from State College, I think it's important to teach them why it's important. Again, one of the options was the leadership can't stand at the podium and say, we need to get new members, we need new members. We have to kind of give them a reason why membership is important, and then, then do the spin on it and take it into it. I was sitting here as I was listening to this too, thinking, be really quick, thinking about being a Christian. We're not Sunday Christians. We're not 1 hour a week Rotarians. We're Rotarians. So we've got to do this as a total and take Rotary away from us from the meeting and actually work Rotary to get people involved.
Thank you, Debbie. And that why is going to be in that spin script, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Here's the situation. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's what that means and what we need to do. So let's go right into communication. Communication is an essential part of any leadership position. You see it there. Communicate, communicate, communicate. And I would say communicate some more after that. Whatever you think the communication requirement is, it's very likely more than that. And you want to use all of the channels of communication that you have at your disposal. As a club president or a membership chair, somebody who's on the agenda, certainly you have the podium time, but you're going to have one-on-one conversations. You're going to have conversations with your board. You have email distribution. You have newsletters that go out, or maybe it's an email weekly update. You have all of these opportunities whenever you are face-to-face, whenever you're in front of a group, whenever you have print, communicate, communicate, communicate. The spin script and variations on that spin script are a great place to start in terms of your communication. You want to penetrate the DNA of your members on this spin script so that it's automatic for them. They understand the why that Debbie just mentioned and what we're going to do about it. So please write your communication plan. We're about the middle of page 3 right now, and you've even got some tips there, but this is going to be critical that you write this down. What you write down is much more likely to actually occur, to be put into place. And again, you're going to need to communicate at every opportunity.
I might just add also that most membership chairmen have a membership committee, that they also should utilize that committee to assist and act on this also.
They can be key members of the coalition.
Exactly.
Yes. All right, let's have one of you report out on your communication plan. Love to hear from somebody who hasn't participated yet. I know there are good ideas in this audience. I learned a long time ago there's more wisdom in the room than at the front of the room, at least when I'm at the front of the room. Communication plan. All right, well, I'm going to let one of you put that in the chat box, or multiple of you put it in the chat box, and we will move on to step 8. Confront those in the way. Now, I'll just tell you, I'm born in the South. I live in the South. We don't do confrontation that well. We're really good at beating around the bush. But now, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, you don't have that Southern excuse. There are going to be times where confrontation is necessary. Confrontation doesn't have to be an ugly thing. I mean, it carries that connotation. But we've all been in situations at work, at church, in our clubs, in other situations where there's somebody in the way. Somebody who is just dead set on being negative. And so the first step, of course, is to say, I really need you on the team. Here's why I think it's important. Tell me what's on your mind. Let's find a way to work together. If that won't work, then just neutralizing may be the best thing. It's like, look, I believe in this. I hope you respect me enough to allow me to try to implement this vision. Will you at least stand down? At least stand down. Don't work against me, because that's just a lot of wasted energy for everybody involved. If that doesn't work, well, sometimes you have to go over them or around them or remove them. Your responsibility as a club leader, as it is in business, is to the enterprise, is to your club. When you're a leader, that's where your responsibility lies. So it may require a confrontation. Hopefully that step 1 works, you win them over. But I want you to go ahead and think now, who is going to be the obstacle, or who plural will be the obstacle in your club to changing the culture. They're out there. Past president of my club, if I heard him say it once, I've heard him saying 10 times, the only people who like change are babies with dirty diapers. It doesn't come naturally for most of us. You have obstacles. Let's identify them. Don't be surprised. It's better to make the plan now. And how are we going to deal with this person or people who are obstacles? Much like the coalition, I am not going to ask you to speak out on a recorded session as to who those obstacles are. I'm going to give you a break. Although you can send me a private message if you want. We can talk about that. But you have obstacles. You know that people are going to pop up. You need to be prepared to deal with them. It truly is important. Okay, step 9, short-term wins. This is all about building momentum early for what you're implementing, for the change in culture. Okay, so you've got a couple of people who you know are ready to join your club. Maybe one of your strategies is having a Discover Rotary session, and you invite them to that, and lo and behold, they join your club, and your club says, wow, these Discover Rotary sessions work. Now, this is not disingenuous, because you have the right vision. You know what's going to work for your club. Your heart's in the right place. You want to build these short-term wins. Your coalition can help you with this. Remember, that's your core team for implementing this change in culture in your club. So you want to build in short-term wins that people can point to and say, Debbie knows what she's doing. I think I want to get on this train. I want to be a part of this. Our club is going in a new direction. It only takes a little bit of momentum before it starts creating its own additional momentum. So let's think about how you're going to achieve these short-term wins. Okay, we want to keep our eyes on the long-term goal, which is to create a growth culture. One where, as I said before, it's penetrated the DNA of your members, and we know sliding in membership year after year is not acceptable. Who we are, what we are, is a club of growth. We have bigger impact. We do more in our community. We increase the opportunities for networking. All of those things that are central to what drew us to Rotary in the first place. Many clubs have this kind of culture when it comes to Rotary Foundation. We can do this for membership just as well. So I want to talk about key takeaways from today. We've covered a lot. We're going to reset the bar. The club has to know what good is, and it has to be measurable. We have to have an assessment of where we are. We have to be very honest about that. And as we know, that's part of building that spin script. Creating a coalition, this is key. This is really key. You cannot paddle the ship by yourself. If you're a club of 50, I would say have a coalition of 6 or 8 powerful, influential people. Scale it up or down from there. Create the vision. We talked about that. Terry gave you some great examples, good and bad, or effective and ineffective. Create that vision that it's really easy to understand what we're going to do. Rotary International has given us a great template to work from. You can incorporate parts of that in, as one of you did in the report out. Build the spin script. You're going to hammer the situation, the problem, the implication, and the need all year. And you're going to do that through your communication. So have that spin script. Teach the behaviors you want. Like all good systems, it's designed to drive the behaviors that you want. When I built an incentive system at work, I said, yes, I want people to make money. I want them to see how they're going to do it. And I want them to see the behaviors that are going to get them there, because that contributes to the success of the whole enterprise. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Communicate some more after that. You've got to be very intentional about your communication. Be prepared to confront what's likely going to happen. Be prepared for that. And set up short-term wins. Build the momentum for the new direction of your club, the new culture of your club. This is all incredibly important. We've given you this recipe. We promise you, you combine this recipe and the intentional strategies we've given you, you're going to see improvement. You're going to see success. So I appreciate all of you being a part of this, working on your plans on these 2 pages. It's been a treat again to be with you. And I am going to turn the microphone over to the big guy, Governor Irv, to take us home.
Terry Weaver and Patrick Eads, thank you both for bringing this wonderful virtual membership summit to our district. The 4 sessions have provided us with a wealth of information, videos, worksheets, and a roadmap to developing a membership growth plan with measurable steps. Jim Everly, thank you for your leadership. Thank all of you for making this virtual membership summit a priority. I hope I can safely say that we are all committed to the challenge of growing Rotary in our district. For the past 5 years, our membership has been trending downward. We need to reverse that trend. Before I turn this over to Jim Everly, I have the following tasks for you to do. Number 1, please share the videos and worksheets with others in your club. Don't keep them to yourself, share them. Number 2, you must write a membership growth plan and send that to Jim Everly. Let me repeat this again. You must write a membership growth plan with measurable action items. Number 3, there was a lot of effort put into creating this summit. These are great plans that have been given to you. This is not just an academic exercise. These plans work. If you use them, please put these plans in action. And we have to. It is imperative that we make a change in our district. At this time, Jim Everly.
Thanks, Governor Irvin. As Irvin mentioned, I do want to mention that the virtual membership summit would not be possible without Patrick Eakes and Terry Weaver. They have done an incredible job. These presentations have been honed many, many times. You can tell that, and it is so gracious of them to share them with us. As Governor Irvin said, please put them to use. Coming up next week is the bonus week. Okay, and it has 3 elements to it. First of all, it brings all 4 sessions together. Secondly, it does have a real life story of a club that used these plans to turn itself around. And number 3, it has the question and answer time. So that's your time to clear up any items that you might find to be a little bit fuzzy. So if you haven't signed up for the bonus week yet, please do so. Also remember, this session and the other 3 are available to view at the tiny URL that's on the screen right now. I would ask you to make sure that the club president-elect, and the membership chair, if they haven't been able to be with us on each of these sessions, those are all available. They can now binge watch them. They'll think they're watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or something like that. But they can now take and watch all of them. All the handouts are there, so it's all available. So please, if you've enjoyed it, if you think it's worthwhile for your club, make sure you have other people in your club taking a look at these. And with that, I would say thank you again for spending time with us. We will be back next week for the bonus week. Thanks.